Welcome to Roatan Honduras. Whether you're here for a day, a week, a month, your entire life, this is the most popular area of Roatan, which is called West Bay Beach. Probably most of you have heard about it or you've seen it on the news. It is typically or has historically been in one of the top natural beaches in the entire world. And if you're here on a cruise, well, or here to stay however long you want, you are a very lucky person. I'm obviously highly biased as I am one of those lucky people as well. So we're going to just take a aerial view of the drone. We've already done a walking tour from London to West Bay to the other side. Is about 30 minutes. If you really want to huff it, you can do it in about 22 minutes, or that's my kind of workout route timing. So it is a large beach. We are also in kind of the low sand season when I shot this video, which is in the cooler months. It is also when storms are coming in, so the beach is very low, right? Or there's not much beach right now. So most of the year, we actually have about 20 more feet of beach, but this was recorded in about September, October of this year, which is when the beach is the smallest. I will do another video that shows it in its prime, which is more in the beginning of the year or spring. So West Bay, it is one of the most popular places. It's also, well, the biggest tourist attraction we have in Roatan, Honduras, because it's a beautiful natural beach that spans for a very long time. There are hundreds of hotels. We're going to show you how deep West Bay actually goes, and then also take you into the water, which is, well, my favorite part. So if you're here on a cruise or just here for a day, this is where most people pick. West Bay, it's a beautiful natural beach with that white, clean sand, and it's really, really hard to beat. You have nice, calm, protected waters, so it's great for swimming, snorkeling, any of your water sports, really, the kayaking, the paddleboarding, your parasailing. There's even the little jet packs that allow you to kind of surf on the water. We've got it all. Or if you don't want to get wet, we have glass bottom boats. We have just boat rides. We have water taxis. That's my favorite way to get to West Bay from West End, is taking a water taxi, which is about $5 per person, but a minimum of 4 people. And it's about a 15-20 minute car ride to West End, which is, I would say, our second most famous spot, other than Mahogany Bay, which is the largest cruise ship port, which is what you see on your reservations most of the time. But these are West Bay is the #1 place to go. And so I just wanted to show you how big it actually is. There are so many hotels. One of them, well, it really doesn't matter. They're all different. They all do have a different vibe. And so I kind of go and investigate. You can even go there and just walk up and say, hey, are you accepting, walk-ins? Are you accepting cruise shippers? Are you, whatever you are, just ask them. And a lot of them have day passes, which turn into like a food and beverage credit. And if you're anything like me, you're going to spend more money on your cocktails than what the minimum is. I think the lowest minimum is $25. I've also seen some at Infinity Bay that are $48 a person, which is actually the biggest hotel that we can actually see in our vantage point right now, very far ahead with the orange roof. That is, well, part of that is in Infinity Bay with a massive pool. But if you're eating, drinking, spending several hours there, I think, well, that's what I do with my family. If we go on a cruise, I like to just kind of hang out at a place, park at a place. Probably would hang out somewhere a little bit cheaper because you can just hang out on the beach. There are people walking around with food, cocktails. If you're lucky enough to see the guy with the plata and the coconut on the canoe, it's a rite of passage, but you're going to be feeling that plata in the morning unless you upgrade that to Florida Cana. However, that's just a long time on this island, and, well, I like to optimize what I'm ingesting. So Roatan, why is Roatan special? So we are technically the second largest barrier reef system. Now, I say that as a technicality because we are actually the largest interconnected reef in the world. The Great Barrier Reef, I believe it is 4 or 5 different systems. So the Great Barrier Reef is the biggest, but we are the biggest that is continuous. And one of the reasons why we have such high tourism is because, well, of this beautiful reef that you can see right here. And what's nice about West Bay, and you can see this is normal for us with actually this is kind of seeing those waves, that's a little, oh, I think that's a boat actually. But even having that much surge at the beach, that's actually a little bit atypical. It's nice flat. It's not like you're on the Pacific or Atlantic side. Well, we are in a protected area. That reef does protect us. So there's great snorkeling, swimming, scuba diving, which is I'm a super fan of. But I also wanted to show you that how deep West Bay actually goes. So, I mean, we have great water, but there are hundreds of hotels. There are hundreds of places to stay, and you get that beautiful crystal clear water that you can access by the public. There are several areas where you can access it, so you don't actually have to be right on the water. I mean, it's great to walk right, 30 feet out, see this beautiful water, but this is what the entirety of West Bay looks like. Also in West End, we have Half Moon Bay. It's just a little bit smaller. This is our largest beach, which is also why, well, our claim to fame, and time keeps naming us one of the best natural beaches in the world. Natural is the key term here because, well, it's not man-made. It is natural, and it is the crystal clear turquoise water, and I did not put a filter on any of this video. I just think it kind of, well, you don't need to. You can just see right there how beautiful that reef is, and it probably, I mean, at the shallowest part, you can probably get to the reef in about 25 feet, but I would assume it's about a 100-foot swim if you are going from the shore. And it's some of my favorite dive sites. Mandy's Eel Garden and West End Wall are my two favorites. Mandy's is because, well, I will show you when we pass it. It's just a massive sand patch that has so much life in it. And then if you go a little bit deeper, if you are scuba diving, we do have something called garden eels. They are some of my favorite. I used to work with them at the Georgia Aquarium, and so I like to, well, they are my favorite species to observe on this island, but that's just personal preference. And Mandy's Eel Garden has a lot of it, and I've also just recently discovered they've migrated over to West End Wall, and now they are living in the technical diving range, which is beyond 140 or sorry, 130, 40 or 40 meters deep. So I'm actually seeing them at around 200 feet, 60 meters, which, well, I think is really cool, but obviously you need to be a technical diver, and it's a little bit different. But now I digress. We are still looking at the reef. We're looking at the water activities. We just passed Infinity Bay on your left, and what we are looking toward now is the brand new Kempton Hotel that was formerly known as the Roatan Grand. So many pools. This is our first big hotel chain. I mean, we have the Clarion and Mid-Island, but this is the start of a lot of change for Roatan. We could talk good, bad, but we're going to keep it all positive here and look straight ahead at something called Black Rock, which is one of my favorite dive sites, favorite scuba areas. Also, you can swim out there. You've got a lot of swim throughs for snorkelers. The Black Rock has always been one of my favorite, and that's actually, if you go off that, and if you are a technical diver, well, come chat with me and I can show you the Josie J. And also I can show you what I like even more than that shipwreck is all of those garden eels. But right here you can see all that light turquoise. A lot of those dive sites, I call all of this the Mandy's Eel Garden area. There are obviously a lot of more dive sites than that. But for me, I could spend 3 hours just in that little, well, it's a big sand patch. But you can see there's so much reef and it's fairly shallow. So, I mean, Mandy's Eel Garden, I think it's great for a 20-foot dive. I think it's the best. I love taking my students there. It's just, well, I'm biased, but it's one of my favorite places on the island. And as we kind of close out our tour of West Bay, which this is a lot of ground, it's almost a mile long, so much beach frontage and that crystal clear turquoise water. If you are thinking about moving to Roatan, there are so many opportunities, so much new construction, so much construction's already there. You can find, well, houses are a little bit farther back in like the Lighthouse Estate area or kind of in the Turtling Beach. So there are areas where you can get a single family home, but there's lots of condo opportunities here and vacation rentals that they rent almost the entire year or at least 6 to 9 months of the year. We do have a couple slow seasons or times of the year, which I actually like because it's a lot less crowded. You can tell it's actually not that crowded today because I go on days where I know there's not going to be a lot of people here, but you can tell it's a really beautiful beach. But I wanted to show you my absolute favorite part of Roatan, Honduras, and that is underwater, which is the reason why I first fell in love with this beautiful island in 2008 and became a dive instructor, turned realtor on this beautiful island. These are a couple of my favorite things that I've seen at Mandy's Eel Garden. This is one of my favorite phenomenons that happens in Roatan, Honduras. These are our famous silver sides where people fly from all over the world to see these little guys. They're only in season about 2 to 3 weeks a year, and it's not guaranteed any year where they are. We don't always know. This is actually Blue Channel, but I wanted to say, well, this is my happy place. That's tech diving. If you want to go do a tech dive with me over at BlackRock and the Josie J. But thank you so much for tuning in. I would love to hear your comments. Have a wonderful time, and thank you for taking a little tour of West End or West Bay, Roatan, Honduras.